Welcome back to the channel, Blue Jays Nation. Grab your coffees, settle in, and let's talk some Toronto Blue Jays baseball. Opening day is just around the corner, and the Blue Jays are making massive roster moves as we gear up for what promises to be an absolute dogfight of a 2026 season. If you've been following the spring training cuts and the daily grind down in Dunedin, you know that this front office is not sitting on their hands. We have one of the best rosters in all of Major League Baseball right now, but in the American League, good enough rarely gets you a World Series ring. You need depth, you need grit, and you need matchup-proof lineups. Just when we thought the roster was set, a massive rumor has dropped. MLB insiders are predicting that the Toronto Blue Jays are about to make one final blockbuster veteran addition before we officially open the gates at the Rogers Center. We are talking about 12-year MLB veteran outfielder Tommy Pham. Is he the missing right-handed bat we desperately need? Let's break down the news, look at the current state of our outfield, and figure out if this is the move that guarantees a deep postseason push. Looking at the roster moves today, you have to understand the domino effect of what has happened over the last few weeks. Every Jays fan knows that the injury bug is the one thing that can derail a championship roster, and unfortunately, it bit us hard. Losing Anthony Santander, a premier switch hitter who was supposed to anchor the middle of this lineup, was a massive blow to our opening day plans. The front office reacted quickly. Ross Atkins and the management team went out and nabbed Jesus Sanchez from the Houston Astros. On paper, it's a solid depth move. Sanchez has raw power, he can hit the ball a country mile, and he provides immediate big league experience. But here is the glaring issue, and it's something that every opposing manager in the AL East is already circling on their scouting reports. Jesus Sanchez is a left-handed batter with some pretty ugly platoon splits over the course of his career. He struggles mightily against left-handed pitching. When you zoom out and look at the Toronto outfield right now, it is looking awfully left-handed overall. Think about it. We have Dalton Varsho, who is an absolute wizard with the glove and a fan favorite, but he bats from the left side. We have Addison Barger, a guy we've been monitoring closely on the prospect watch for years, who is finally getting his shot. But again, he's a lefty. Then you have Nathan Lukes, another left-handed bat, serving as outfield depth. Where does the right-handed production come from? Well, we have Miles Straw, who is a fantastic defender in center field. But let's be honest, he is not in the lineup to hit 30 home runs or drive in 90 runs. He's there for run prevention. And then, of course, we have the veteran leader, George Springer. Springer is 36 years old now. He is still an elite player. He still comes up big in clutch moments, and his baseball IQ is off the charts. But asking a 36-year-old Springer to play 150 games in the outfield and carry the entire right-handed load against tough left-handed pitching is a recipe for disaster. This is exactly why the Tommy Pham rumors make so much sense. Why did the team decide to send younger guys like Arjun Nimala or Jonathan Claes down to the minors during the recent spring training cuts? Because right now, the Blue Jays don't need raw development on the Major League bench. They need proven, battle-tested veterans who can step into the batter's box in the bottom of the 8th inning at Yankee Stadium and deliver a professional at-bat. Tommy Pham fits that role to a T. He has quietly been one of the most consistent professional hitters in baseball over the past few years. He understands the strike zone, he hits the ball hard, and most importantly, he crushes left-handed pitching. He would serve as the perfect short side of a platoon with Jesus Sanchez or Dalton Varsho. It gives our manager the ultimate chess piece to deploy late in games. So how does this potential signing reshape our strategic outlook for the 2026 season? Let's talk about the lineup for opening day and the brutal reality of the AL East battle. If you bring in Tommy Pham, you instantly balance the lineup. You force opposing managers to think twice before bringing in a left-handed relief specialist. Imagine a late-game scenario at the Rogers Center. The dome is closed, the crowd is deafening, and the opposing team brings in a lefty to face Varsho or Barger. With Pham on the bench, you have a lethal right-handed pinch hit option who isn't intimidated by the moment. But let's look at the broader picture of this 2026 roster, because it is absolutely stacked, and adding Pham is just the cherry on top. We have to talk about the veterans and the incredible new faces that are going to define this postseason push. On the pitching side, Kevin Gausman remains the undisputed ace of this staff. His splitter is still one of the most devastating pitches in baseball. But the addition of Dylan Cease has completely changed the dynamic of our rotation. Cease brings that high-octane, swing-and-miss fastball that we've craved. When you pair Gausman's finesse and splitter with Cease's pure power, you have a 1-2 punch that can go toe-to-toe with the Yankees, the Orioles, or the Rays on any given night. And we cannot talk about the 2026 Blue Jays without mentioning the international splash of the offseason, Kazuma Okamoto. Bringing Okamoto over to handle the hot corner and provide massive right-handed power has completely altered the ceiling of this team. Okamoto is going to hit bombs into the second deck at the Rogers Center, mark my words. But even with Okamoto, Springer, and the returning core, the 162-game season is a war of attrition. You need guys who can grind out at-bats. Tommy Pham is a grinder. He sees a lot of pitches, he makes pitchers work, and he has a track record of performing in the playoffs. In a division where 1 or 2 games can be the difference between winning the AL East and playing a wildcard series on the road, having a veteran like Pham to protect the younger guys and provide matchup flexibility is a strategic masterstroke. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What is the media pulse in Toronto right now, and how is Blue Jays Nation reacting to this potential move? If you tune into Sportsnet or TSN this week, the debate is raging. The Toronto media is notoriously tough, and they are dissecting this rumor from every angle. On one hand, the analytics guys on TSN are pounding the table for this move. They look at the platoon splits, they look at the hard hit rate, and they see Tommy Pham as the ultimate analytical fit for a roster that is currently leaning way too far to the left. However, there is the elephant in the room, and the media isn't shying away from it. Tommy Pham is a fiery competitor, and sometimes that fire has boiled over off the field. We all know the stories, we all know the fantasy football slap incident from a few years ago, and we know he plays with a massive chip on his shoulder. Some fans calling into the radio shows are expressing a bit of hesitation. They love the chemistry of this current Blue Jays clubhouse. It's a tight-knit group, and there is always a fear that bringing in a highly intense, outspoken veteran could disrupt the vibes. But let me tell you what the real, die-hard fans of Blue Jays Nation are saying on Twitter and Reddit. The consensus is clear. We are past the point of worrying about vibes. We want a World Series parade down Yonge Street. If a guy has a bit of an edge, if he brings a nasty competitive attitude to the clubhouse, maybe that's exactly what this team needs. We've been the nice guys for a long time. Sometimes to win the AL East battle, you need a guy who is willing to go to war and ruffle some feathers. The optimism for 2026 is incredibly real. Fans are looking at a rotation with Gausman and Cease, an infield featuring Okamoto, and they are saying, go get Pham and let's finish the job. So it's time for the verdict. In my opinion, Ross Atkins and the front office absolutely must pull the trigger on this deal. Signing Tommy Pham is the correct decision for the immediate future of this team. We are in a win-now window. You don't trade for Dylan Cease and sign Kazuma Okamoto just to be content with a wildcard exit. You do it to win a championship. Our outfield is too left-handed. Anthony Santander's injury leaves a massive hole. And George Springer needs to be kept fresh for October. Tommy Pham checks every single box. He brings the right-handed bat, the veteran presence, and the playoff intensity that this roster needs to get over the hump. But that's just my take, and you know I want to hear from you. Do you think Tommy Pham is the final piece to the 2026 puzzle? Or are you worried about his fit in the clubhouse? Drop down into the comments right now and let me know your thoughts. And while you're down there, if you are ready for opening day, I want to see you comment, "Go Jays," if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay up to date with every single move the Blue Jays make this season. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update from the Blue Jays report. Thank you so much for watching, Blue Jays Nation. Stay passionate, stay loud, and as always, go Jays!